Found on the High Seas, a serialized gay romance taking place aboard the Caribbean ocean liner, the Majestic Sun. Follow along as I take everyone on a Caribbean adventure with humor, love, and of course, destruction. Penned by Rylie Mason, narrated by me, Brian Shepard. Episode 8. Time's Up. If it was not for Rylie, Britain would have given up a long time ago. Yet Rylie kept pushing forward, determined to get Britain safely off the ship, along with himself and poor Owen, who hasn't said a word since the ultimate demise of Mr. I'm going to take the elevator in a capsized ship, Remington. "How long have you worked on this ship, Owen?" Britain asked, as all three slowly walked over pipes and exit signs as they made their way through the corridors. Britain figured it would be a way to take the current situation off their minds. For a bit, anyway. "I was a transfer from the voyage, so it's my first day on the ship. 2 years with Majestic," he answered. Yet Britain could see him light up just a tad when talking about it. He looked like he wanted a life at sea. "I really love my job. Yet I knew going in that there would be the possibility for events to happen out at sea. However, I never had any training to cover this. This is something I thought I would never have to go through, let alone survive. So far, anyway." He finished by going back to the gloomy look he had while keeping his head down. "That's all right. This is my first time doing a job like this. My best friend actually applied for me and got me the job without telling me. And you're right, there is no training for this, as this is something that I'm sure rarely happens. You will survive, Owen. You just need to think positive as we figure things out." "Have you ever thought of working in the cruise industry?" Owen asked, seeming interested after all. "Me? God, no. I never thought of even being on a cruise, let alone a ship. Boats and river cruises do not compare to a cruise ship. Yet I love customer service." "So why did your friend apply for you?" Owen continued. "Oh, losing a good job, depressed, not wanting to do anything while I let the rest of my life just wither away. I had hit rock bottom and did not see a way back up. So I kind of gave up. Easier that way," he answered, which got him a sorry look from Rylie. "Brooklyn didn't like the fact that I was shutting people out, keeping to myself, and not really leaving my apartment. So she applied for jobs, and Majestic sounded perfect to her. Besides, who wouldn't want to do this job?" Britain continued. "I would have not met so many wonderful people," Britain finished by blushing as his eyes locked with Rylie's. Rylie just smiled. Owen must have noticed this interaction. "Are you two a couple?" he asked. No. Rylie and I are not boyfriends," Britain answered, looking at Rylie as he had nothing to say at all this whole time. Maybe he was just wanting to hear what Britain would say. "Sorry, it's just the way Rylie looks at you. It's almost like you're together," Owen said, as Rylie had come to a stop. "I have been meaning to ask you if you would like to maybe go on a date with me. However, don't answer that just yet, as we need to figure out how we're getting up and into the engine room," Rylie finished, as all three noticed the stairwell up was blocked, and going forward was not an option either. "We could always go through the main dining room, use the service stairs down, or, well, rather up to the engine room," Owen suggested. Before anyone said a word, the ship decided it was going to start that watery grave, with or without them, as the stern started to take on water. They could feel the ship tilting downwards ever so slightly. "Lead the way, my friend, as I think our time on board is coming to an end," Rylie said, as Owen wasted no time before he was in front and heading down the corridor. Rylie grabbed Britain's hand, and they both followed behind Owen. It was not that far down before they pushed their way through the heavy double oak doors to the main dining room. "I have a bad feeling about this," Britain said, as soon as they entered the gutted room. Most, if not all, the tables were still bolted to the floor, so now they just hung upside down. What was left for furniture was broken and mangled. What Britain was referring to was the fact that they were just above the water line, which meant they could see the waves outside, sloshing around, hitting the windows as it passed by. "The glass is shatterproof. Should hold for now. However, I suggest we keep moving. The ship is continuing to tilt," Rylie suggested. Again, Owen took the lead. The three practically jogged through the dining room, dodging all sorts of stuff, until they ended up in the kitchen. "Did you say you were hungry, Owen?" Britain asked, as Owen finally found the door on the other side. "I didn't say anything," Owen replied, stopping to look at him as to wonder what would give Britain the impression he was thinking of food. "I could have sworn I heard—" Britain was cut off by the sound of knocking, which was coming from behind them. They stood quiet as they all tried to hear it again and maybe pinpoint where it was coming from. The ship tilting was already causing sounds all over the place. There it was again, this time sounding like desperate banging, coming from the right corner of the kitchen. It was dark and hard to see, let alone the fact that the ceiling was now the floor and was tricky to navigate. "You both stay here," Rylie said as he slowly made his way over. Behind them and against the wall was the cold storage locker, or rather walk-in cooler. As soon as Rylie had made it in front of the cooler door, the banging started again, and there was no denying someone or something was inside. The good thing was there was a small window. Yet with no power, Rylie really couldn't see anything when the banging stopped. That's when a face jumped up and was staring at Rylie. "Help me, please. The door won't open from the inside," the male voice said through the glass. "Oh, right. Here we go," Rylie said as he opened the door, allowing the man to finally step out. "Thank you. I'd given up, yet I could have sworn I heard talking. So I decided to try banging again. Glad I did," he said with a thankful smile. "Did you figure out what it was? Oh, hello," Britain said as he was the first to come around the corner. "Hello, I'm Henry." "Owen," they both said as Owen went right past Britain and into the waiting arms of Henry. Frantic kisses and hugs were exchanged between them. "Who's the couple now?" "I'm sorry I couldn't get to you, and so happy to see you're all right. I tried to get back to the kitchen, yet when the ship turned, I lost my balance and got stuck in the hallway until Rylie and Britain came walking by." "Thank you both," Henry said as he took and shook both Rylie and Britain's hand. "You're welcome. Owen here has been very helpful, as it's our first time on this ship," Rylie said. "Yes, that, and with the ship upside down, navigating is a little more difficult," Britain pointed out. Which was true, given the fact that everything was upside down. So navigating stairwells, corridors, making sure to watch each bulkhead as to not trip. There was the piping, air ducts, furniture, broken glass, and now more tilting, as the ship began to groan and shudder as it settled, causing a gas pipe to break. The smell of gas quickly filled the kitchen, which got everyone's attention. "We need to move. Now," Rylie said, as he grabbed Britain's hand and moved towards the exit. "So I'm sure we have a game plan here on how we intend to get off this sinking ship?" Henry asked, as he held on to Owen's hand, following right behind. As soon as they came out of the kitchen and into the dining room, the gas had ignited, causing an explosion. All four were knocked off their feet, fire spraying out of the kitchen doors. They will not be able to continue through there. Coming to, one by one, they got up, making sure the other was okay. Everyone seemed to be okay. Well, that was until the sound of cracking had everyone looking around to see where it was coming from, as this was a distinct sound, one you would hear when glass is about to shatter. Britain was the first to notice one of the large double-pane glass windows had a giant crack, which was slowly turning into a spider web. "Over here, the explosion must have caused it. Water will no doubt come in when it finally breaks," he said, as everyone started to move back towards the main corridor and out of the doom of the dining room. "Where to now? The good thing is that she is going bow first, which means the engine room will be up and out of the water." Riley's only thought was to follow the main corridor to the lobby and straight back towards the stern. The sea would have other plans for the Topaz, as waves were rolling around the ship, trying to force her to roll, which is bad, as it would no doubt let more water in, and in the process lose the air pocket in the middle that was keeping them afloat. The Topaz would fight back, not wanting to right herself. She would remain capsized, as the waves just rolled underneath, as there was not enough momentum. They all knew at this time it was the time to get moving and get off the ship. What about the hole that was created by the explosion? Riley's brain was working overtime, as he was trying to think of a way they could use that as their way out. Yet, after that, what then?